I'm a family law lawyer in Ontario, Canada, and I've been doing this for 36 years. That's all I do. And I'm here to give you a few ideas about what's going on in family law today and why you should be interested or maybe concerned. And so this is part 5 of those series. I'll be talking every so often about different topics. And today I'll be talking about the rights of grandparents or grandchildren in Ontario to see their grandchild or their grandparent, depending on how you look at it. Sometime at the end of 2016, Ontario changed laws that appeared to make it easier for grandparents to see their kids when the actual parents don't want them to do so. Because they amended a certain part of the law. I won't get into all the technical details, it's not necessary. Let's just say they added a few words to a section of one of the acts that dealt with this topic, and because they added these words, they added the word grandfather or grandmother or grandparent, it would supposedly make it easier for courts to make rulings in favor of grandparents who were being frustrated. Because if you're a grandparent and you're not allowed to see your grandchild for whatever the reason, it's extremely painful, and you would think there would be rights to assist you. So I don't think this new law has really changed things than what happened before, because before, any person had a right to access or custody to a kid in the right circumstances, including a grandparent, but they didn't mention the word grandparent. So I don't think that rights have been extended very much. But I should tell you what basically has been the law for a long time, in a case called Chapman. And basically, the courts asked the following questions: whether there is a positive relationship between the grandparent and the child. Did it already exist before a grandparent made a claim? So if you're a grandparent and you've never seen your child, but you want to see the grandchild, maybe it's a baby that was born, you're going to have a tougher time with the courts because there's no relationship between you and the grandchild. Secondly, if you want a relationship, is it going to imperil the positive relationship the child has with their mother or father? And thirdly, is the parent who's denying access acting without good reason, acting what's called arbitrarily? So those are the 3 big principles in Canadian, and I should say Ontario family law. It's very difficult for someone to see their grandchild unless those things are obtained. I will tell you what I think will happen with this new law is that I think the onus will shift. What I mean by that is, sorry for the big words I'm using in terms of the law, the legal word, but what I mean by that is, I think that because this new word was added about grandparents, it will mean that in any case, a court's going to look a little more carefully at the rights of that person, and they're going to make it harder for parents to pass these tests. They got to prove that someone doesn't have a relationship with their kid, that they're acting without any good reason, okay? They've got to do that. And, you've got to be very, very careful when you deal with going to courts now, partly because of this law, and because we live in a world right now where under our Divorce Act and under our family laws in Ontario, contact with grandparents is highly valued. And don't forget, most judges are grandparents. So this is not a hard thing to argue. It's a harder thing to win though. So it's easy to argue, harder thing to win. The other thing I want to tell you is, what do you do rather than going to court? Okay, where have I been successful at this? What you do is, you don't go to court if you can avoid it. If you're lucky, you'll get a lawyer on the other side who's also receptive to being compassionate, understanding everybody's situation, and trying to mediate a solution. There are cases where very many unfortunate things happen, where maybe there's only one parent around, the other parent left the country or died or something, and that parent doesn't have a good relationship with former in-laws. Or there could be other situations where the grandparent annoyed a mother or a father because he or she kept coming over all the time, I remember one case where a couple lived next door to their parents, And they had to flee the province just so they could get along because the parents were over there all the time. So there are many good reasons why sometimes parents are loath to have their kids see their own grandparent. So my advice is, in the face of a tragedy or in the face of something like that, if you can find a lawyer who has compassion and ideally can appeal to that son or daughter, or perhaps to son-in-law, former son-in-law or daughter-in-law, ideally to another friendly lawyer, miracles will happen. And I've seen it happen in my own practice. So to those of you who are suffering, my heart goes out to you. I have grandchildren of my own, and I can't imagine what it would be like if I couldn't see them. But you have to be realistic on how you go about dealing with this topic. One thing I will say to all of those grandparents who have not confronted this anymore, make sure you have a good relationship with your grandchildren, that you don't interfere with parental decisions, and you try to get along with them. If something, God forbid, goes wrong, it's a very few cases where this happens, where it does go wrong, then you've at least established a relationship with that child that can never be denied. Thank you. So I hope you've enjoyed this short series on different topics of family law, and we hope to see you again. Thank you. If you're interested in speaking with me about any topic, please call me. All my contact information is below. Click below to subscribe to my channel.